Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello everybody, welcome to our Friday TGIF and of course Product Owner episode this week with Thorben Pantring. Hey Thorben, welcome back.
Hi Vasco.
So Thorben, Friday is of course Product Owner episode and we'll talk about what great product owners look like in a minute. But first, do share with us what might have been potentially the worst product owner anti-pattern you've witnessed in your career.
Oh boy. Okay. We looked 4 years back into the same e-commerce company I'm still with, and our product managers, which were then or essentially our product owners. And they would typically come up with a complete concept for a feature, including the detailed requirements, documents, specifications, and of course a deadline. And the team was then asked or tasked rather with developing the whole thing, resulting in basically a feature factory environment where multiple features were developed
simultaneously. Yeah.
Thank you. My mouth just didn't want to say that. And everyone was a little micromanaged. So the product manager was the main participant in the daily Scrum and would just want updates like how's the progress here, how's the progress there, asking questions like will this be done this sprint, when you get the gist.
So they became project managers in the end.
No, they were called product basically. They were called product managers at the beginning.
But that micromanaging aspect of when is this task going to be done, when is this part going to be done, that's pretty much the project management mindset, right?
Yes. And that was basically the one of the baddest situations of product ownership or product management I've witnessed so far. Luckily, we got away from that.
So let's explore that a little bit more. We'll talk about how you got out of that in a minute. But first, what were some of the, let's call it, most obvious problems that came out of this perspective, this way of working of the product owners / product managers?
Yeah, basically the feature was kind of fixed. So there wasn't really feedback gathered from outside of the product department back in the day. And there was then just like, this is the feature, go build. And then we went and built. And when it was done, it was kind of taken off by the product management, and they would either say good or not good, and what we should change. And so there was little to no feedback loop from your customers where the value is delivered to, and it also led to the developers not trying things, not challenging things, and basically was just
so
like,
they were kind of being passive, right? They were just give me the spec and I'll code it.
Yes, and that's also kind of taught and trained developers to work in that kind of way, because when there was something missing, they didn't build it. Because
even though they might have seen it, but they said, it wasn't in the spec, so I might as well not do it.
Exactly. And back during that time, I was still in product engineering and have coded myself, and I've done that. I literally done that, because you get a deadline and specifications. What do? Meet these specifications by the given deadline. Before that deadline is even better. So you try to do as quick as possible, as much as possible, and then you just you don't explore.
Yeah, absolutely. And even some things, if you were given the time and the ability, you would probably recognize as not making sense. But of course, because we are, as you said, in this deadline-driven approach to work, we get so often pushed into kind of working without thinking that we end up not thinking.
Yes, right.
And not thinking developers is definitely not something we want to have.
No, we did not.
Right. So that's, I guess, a cautionary tale of what can happen if product owners become project managers, where they decide everything on their own and just push it to development. But of course, there are also, let's call it mirror images, the contrary of this, great product owners. So, Thorben, share with us your best product owner, the best product owner you have in mind. How did they work?
Yes, the best product owner. This question strikes a name. His name is Matthias. It's the product owner I currently work with the most, and he's really just a great product owner in my mind. So he goes out in the world and tries to understand our customers and their problems through interviews, collaboration, stuff like that. And with these results, he basically just approaches the team in the refinement, bringing problems customers face, problems to solve for the Scrum teams, not a kind of pre-solved to-do list or something like that. So basically, he gives the team room to breathe, allowing the development team to come up with solutions instead of dabbling in their decision making. Of course, he has his own opinions he throws in, but he's not like directive in his way. And the kind of solutions the team, so user experience design, developers, quality engineers, kind of come together in the refinement, collaborating with the product owner and working out a solution that fixes the problem the customer faces. And he's also pretty engaged in this whole large scale adoption we have, and also wants to try new things there, like how can we improve in the refinement. From him we have the idea of including customers into the product refinement in the first place. It was his deal, and he's really eager to try that. So he's also someone who likes to experiment a lot, which is pretty valuable, I think, and that he takes his time to actually plan these things.
So one of the kind of the common pattern that I see in this PO's behavior is that he's able to step back and let others lead, right? Yeah. But at the same time, doesn't shy away from leading in the sense of going to customers, collecting the problems, understanding the problems, and bringing them in. But if I hear the story right, I see that this is a PO that understands ultimately that their work is also done through collaboration with multiple stakeholders, right? Like, so the customer interviews, of course, it's collaborating with customers, potentially also with sales. Then refinement is about collaboration with the team. And also for the product to be delivered, we need to have a working system, right? This large scale product development system. And as you said, he's also engaged in that aspect, in the aspect of adopting, and I'm pretty sure also contributing to some experiments and so on. Therefore, also collaborating with Scrum Masters, with Agile coaches and the leaders in the organization to get that system forward. Do I get it right? Is that one of the characteristics you would point to?
Yes. You distilled that down very, very good, I think. In essence, one could say Matthias would make a good Scrum Master as well.
Isn't it funny though? Because we've heard that phrase so many times here on the podcast, right? Like we've heard stories about product owners coaching Scrum Masters, and of course getting coached by Scrum Masters as well. So kind of accepting that role of both learning and teaching. We've heard, like you just said, also several times that great product owners would end up being great Scrum Masters as well. And maybe it's time we accept that actually to be a great product owner, you do have to have kind of the inclination to be that, as we call Scrum Masters as well, that servant leader, right? Someone who goes out there and takes the information from the market, whether it is through research, customer interviews, or observation, whatever that is. But also when they come in, they understand that they are helping a team succeed. They are not the master or leader of the team. They are part of the team that has a leadership responsibility, but also a contribution and collaboration responsibility.
Yes, absolutely. I believe in software development, everyone is working for the development team, not the other way around, basically, because You can have the best product owner, you can have the best Scrum Master. If there is no development team, or just the development team that is managed to death, you won't come very far. So the servant leadership is a phrase in my mind that spans like the whole company, basically, if you're a product company, of course.
Absolutely. That's very well said. In software development, everyone is working for the development team, not the other way around. Beautifully said, Thorben. We're getting close to the end, but before we go, where can people find out more about you and the work that you're doing?
Yes, of course. I'm only pretty active at LinkedIn. I don't have any other social media because I tend to waste too much time in that otherwise. So I deleted everything.
I sympathize with that.
So you can find me basically on LinkedIn. I guess Vasco has my LinkedIn profile link. And otherwise, I don't really know. I don't think you can.
All right, very good. So LinkedIn it is, and we'll put the link on the show notes so that people can go and
Thank you.
Why not ask a few follow-up questions from Thorben and learn more about his large-scale Scrum adoption process. Thorben, it's been a... Sorry, go ahead.
If you like to just drop me a message. That's what I wanted to say.
Absolutely. So Thorben, thank you very much for your generosity with your time and your knowledge.
Thank you. I'm very grateful that you have invited me.
One more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast is over, but there's a lot more we have to share. We have developed our own membership site where you find a community of active and engaged Scrum Masters. In this site, you get access to exclusive content and get to interact with us, your podcast hosts, as well as the best Scrum Masters in the world. So join us at scrummasterpodcast.com and keep this podcast free of advertising. See you next week for one more full week of Scrum Master tips and tricks. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.